Welcome to BitBoy Crypto, the people's channel, home of the BitSquad, the largest and greatest crypto community in all of the interwebs. My name is Frankie Candles, and I'm going to be your fill-in host for tonight. Guys, we have an amazing show for you tonight. We are talking BTC volatility. We're talking about ETH supply, and I missed the he cut away from my topics. I missed it. But we're also talking about PayPal backfire and some terms of service that they may have changed and said was a mistake, but was it really a mistake? We'll have to find out. But guys, we have an awesome panel tonight. We have Sin City in the top right. Thank you for being with us, brother. We love having you on this show. And then in the bottom right, we have Brad Varnell. Thank you for being on. We appreciate you. And then in the bottom left, we have Forrest. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. And last but not least, we have Max Wright in that top left spot. But guys, like I said, we have an awesome show. We got some really, really good topics. I'm personally most excited about that last one. Some pretty interesting stuff. Really, really excited to hear what our panelists have to say. But let's go ahead and start off with a little bit of a market watch. Let's get that black and white plane flying around the globe. We've got Bitcoin coming in at $19,245, down about 1% on the day. We've got Ethereum coming in at almost $1,300 even. Are we going to crack that $13,000 level or $1,300 level? Ooh, $13,000 ETH. Oh, you get excited over here. But down about 1% on the day. Take a real quick look at our top movers, or let's go look at our top losers for the day. We got Lido down about 7%. We got Chili's down about 7%. Ethereum Classic down about 6%, and EOS down about 5.5%. But guys, let's go ahead and jump right into our first topic. I'm going to try to stay on time tonight. Usually run over, but we're going to do it. We're going to do it tonight. But our first topic, we are going to be talking about Bitcoin volatility. Now, a lot of traders are expecting some serious volatility this week. Not just for one reason. We are seeing some things on the chart. If you're looking at something, we do have the Bitcoin volatility index reading underneath a 25, which typically does indicate some volatility entering the markets. And on top of that, we have a whole bunch of macroeconomic stuff going on. And we also have CPI data coming out this week, amongst other news. So tons and tons of fundamental potential catalysts to get this very volatile move to the upside or the downside. Obviously, there is a big toss-up whether this is going to be a big move to the upside or a big move to the downside. But with all this being said, as volatility seems to be the theme for now, one thing is clear. Traders are still unsure whether Bitcoin is going to go up or down. But Sin City, I want to throw it over to you. We know you're a chart guy, similar to myself. Is there anything in the charts that are kind of making you lean bullish or bearish if we do see this big move?
Well, there's all kinds of macro issues. You brought up the inflation data coming in. That is going to be the make or break, because, you know, the core inflation has been going up, over and over again, or at least last month. And I think it's going to go up again this month. You're starting to see that energy prices are also going up. We've had a sharp increase when it comes to the price of oil as well. And then something that a lot of people aren't talking about is there is a big disruption in Bitcoin mining. So we were discussing this today on our show. Hash rate, the difficulty is way up. So all-time high on the hash rate, and we had we have some bankruptcy issues looming. So nothing is collapsed yet, but there's been uncertainties, especially when it comes to a local Las Vegas publicly traded company, Marathon, who had exposure to a big data company that has filed for bankruptcy, and they had an exposure to them at almost $80 million. And so the stock itself for Marathon Digital is down 61% this year. And then if you think about what would happen if the number two mining company, as far as hash rate, were to go under, you're going to have a forced liquidation when it comes to Bitcoin and a sell on the market. Not only that, but you also have the just the fear or just the news spreading that one of the biggest companies is going to go file for bankruptcy. Now, this is all speculation, but a lot of indicators are pointing to this happening. And you don't have to speculate too far to see that, hey, they had $80 million worth of cash locked up into another company that went under. And then on top of that, if you think about what can happen when you get these bankruptcies, is that you're also going to have a sale of the ASICs, and then it's just spells doom if one of these big companies go down. Could it be a domino effect? Could you see other companies go under? Could this be the catalyst to a $12,000 Bitcoin? Perhaps. Yeah, what I got.
Yeah, absolutely love it. And, one of the main targets that I am personally watching, and I know a lot of other analysts are watching, is that 12 to 14K range. We do have a bit of technical support down there, as well as other things that would make a lot of sense for us to come down there. So moving on here, I want to throw it over to Forrest. Now, with all these macroeconomic factors surrounding Bitcoin, do you think this could kind of be the deciding thing, these macroeconomic things that be the deciding thing for the short-term direction of Bitcoin? Or do you think it will more be something that we see on the charts that will kind of predict what direction we go?
Yeah, I do think Bitcoin will trade with a high amount of correlation to these macro events, the S&P 500 for the short term. Like obviously, Bitcoin and the crypto market will probably react to the CPI numbers on on October 13th. But the charts right now are actually leaning mildly bullish. We have bullish divergence on the Bitcoin weekly chart. We have bullish divergence on the S&P 500 weekly chart. We have bearish divergence in DXY, which means DXY going down is usually good for risk assets. The market's fairly overextended to the downside, and the FX market is getting crushed right now. I do see the potential for a little bit of a relief rally somewhere in Q4. Now, in 2023, I'm actually a little bit more bearish. I think we could pop up a little bit here in the next month to 3 months and have a bullish Q4. Historically, I know I bring this up all the time, but Q4 in a midterm election year is the best performing quarter of any quarter in the election cycle. So there's a strong bull case, or at least bear market rally case, to be made here in the short term. Afterwards, what I'm worried about and what I'm watching are energy prices, right? The CPI number coming out on October 13th, I expect to be pretty decent. Why? Because oil prices over the last 3 months have plummeted at a very steady rate up until recently. However, this recent price spike in oil isn't really going to be reflected in the CPI numbers until later on down the road, right? This spike happened after September. This is the September CPI number. September's CPI, or September's oil prices, were down quite a bit. So short-term bullish, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, and I would agree with the things you're saying. You're seeing on the charts. It's some stuff that we have been keeping an eye on the Frankie Candles YouTube channel as well. The bullish divergence on the weekly, as well as on the S&P 500. Some really interesting stuff. So I am keeping an eye on very similar things. But thank you for that. I want to throw it over to Brad. Now, most traders are eyeing the release of September CPI report, obviously. Now, how big of an impact do you think that because I think this is like the one thing that everyone's kind of waiting for, like this is going to be the thing. Once this drops, this is going to be that big move we see, whether it be up or down. Obviously, the chart's favoring the upside just a little bit. Do you think this CPI data is that going to be the catalyst for this big move?
It seems like that always has a tendency to definitely influence the markets. I think that I wish that your show was on before this show, because I feel like if I watched what you had to say, I'd be much more intelligent sounding on this topic. But what I really believe in is being prepared for either direction. Right in the article that I read today, it says they believe that there's some big volatility coming, that a big move is coming to the upside or to the downside, but nobody knows which. And so I just really believe in preparing yourself for either. I lean, even though it might be pointing a little bit bullish with the current, economics that are going on worldwide, I lean towards this big dump that a lot of us believe is eventually going to happen. I would be very, very surprised if we don't see $10, $12, $14,000 Bitcoin at some point in time during this bear market. And so dollar cost averaging is my favorite strategy. I don't believe that anybody, especially newer people to crypto, should be trying to play these moves and make short-term gains. That's just not the way to long-term success. And even if you get lucky and make a couple of the right moves, everybody that I know that's really become millionaires and changed their life in crypto were people that just bought and accumulated and, waited for 2024, 2025 to come around and then have that massive swing in wealth, headed in your direction. So I don't know. I'm not a charts guy. I'm more of a fundamentals guy. I like to buy good projects that I believe are going to be around for 10 or 15 or 20 or 50 years and believe that over the course of some time, we're going to create massive wealth with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like you said, DCA, I say this all the time. DCA is the way, especially, if you're new, it takes time to learn how to trade, especially on the shorter term time frames. And, I always say, I've been DCAing in and, if we get those lower lows, that 14 to 12K range that we're watching next, the good news is you get to scoop up that cheap Bitcoin. But yeah, DCA has been a proven winning strategy over time. And, it's not that instant gratification that everybody wants, but nothing comes easy, and it always looks like people get rich really quick, but it's not always, most likely never, it's not usually the case. But moving on to Max, Glassnode recently reported that the aggregate price of Bitcoin paid by whales is about $15.8 thousand. Now, are you expecting Bitcoin to see these lower levels, or in your opinion, do you think we have already bottomed? Not asking you to call the bottom, but
Why not? Put me on the spot. That's fun, right? So I think it's really important. No one's mentioned the 80-day cycle yet. For the last couple of years, there's been a really consistent 80-day cycle that you can kind of set your clock by, and we are coming onto that. So I think the article is correct. I think we are due a little bit of volatility. I don't think the CPI is going to have that much to do with anything. It could be up a little bit, down a little bit, but that's not the big mover for me. It may be the catalyst, because anything could be the catalyst, because the timing is right for some more volatility. Now, at the moment, we've got this strange thing where we've got this self-defeating trade. There's so many people, especially in the crypto market, who are trying to front-run the Fed. It's like, well, I think they're going to pivot soon, so we'll stay in and we won't sell, or with a buy-in or we won't sell. And what that's doing is that's keeping the prices of all these asset classes up. And I think that's true for equities. It's true on bonds. It's true on a lot of different asset classes, real estate, all around. It's like the Fed is going to have to pivot, and we're going to get in now because we think that pivot is coming soon. The reason that's self-defeating is it's keeping all the markets up and nothing is breaking, when really there's so many things that suggest it should. There's so much risk out there. There is so much debt out there. Many of the people here have mentioned all of the black swan events that are on the horizon. And these things are just waiting for something to come along and spark and ignite. But at some point, I do believe, whether or not it's this short-term volatility that we see here in the next week that I am expecting, whether or not that's up or down, I must admit, I'm not too sure. But in the medium term to a little bit lesser term even, but not short term, then I think what's going to happen is the people are going to just, a lot of people are going to be front running this Fed pivot, telling themselves the Fed's going to pivot, I want to be in for this big announcement, and they're going to get hosed. Something is going to break. It will cause a liquidity crisis where people are getting margin called in left, right, and everything will go down. Even though we all know here on this channel that the Bitcoin, when the markets are horrible, we know that the price of Bitcoin should get up. But the problem is you get a liquidity crisis and people get margin called. And in those environments, you just have to sell into an environment where there are no buyers. And that means the price of everything goes down, even the things that should go up in those environments: gold, silver, Bitcoin, and all of the safe havens that we expect. So that's the challenge, and I think how that's going to play out. Something will break, the Fed will pivot, but front running it for me is financial suicide, because you will see markets plunge when that happens.
Absolutely. And, it does seem that there's one thing that's constant, and it's that the volatility is incoming. But again, I always say, a lot of times I do sit out when we do get news like this to come out, because it could go in either direction. It's really hard to pick which way it's going to go, especially when you get news like this. So love what you said there. But I want to move on to our next topic, and that is 3,000 ETH falls off supply in biggest drop since the post-merge. Now, in its biggest drop since the merge on September 15, Ethereum's total supply has fallen from 120,534,212 on Saturday to 120,530,723. This reduction in supply is due to an increase in network activity. Now, I want to throw this to Sin City. Now, ETH has obviously suffered like the rest of the crypto market in this bear market. Obviously, we did get the ETH merge that happened not too long ago. Everybody was kind of trying to figure out, is this the big thing that brings us into a giant relief rally? Is it going to be this big, big catastrophic event, or is it going to be, somewhat of a nothing burger? Now, do you think, when do you think these upgrades will have an effect, or do you think when the bull market actually comes and we get the halving and we start moving up in prices, is that when we're going to see these upgrades kind of take place and show themselves through price action? Or do you think the ETH merge has happened and this is kind of, it is what it is?
Oh man, it's taking effect right now. It's front and center. I mean, you have, let me break this down for you. In the last month, we've had almost $500 million of Ethereum burned. $500 million. I mean, think about what that does to the price of Ethereum or just the circulating supply. And then one of the biggest or most surprising numbers that come out of this is that NFTs were a big contributor to the burning of Ethereum. And so as you transact more with the Ethereum network, that's when it becomes more deflationary. And so we saw almost 3,000 ETH burned from NFTs alone. And we know that the NFT marketplace is down. Also, you have DeFi burning at 3,000 Ethereum as well. And so if you think about what's going on now, and then you increase it by a factor of 10, maybe even 100, I mean, that's what Ethereum's gonna look like when there is a ton more usage going forward. If you take the amount of usage that was going on in the middle of the bull run in 2021, and you forecast that out with the scaling of Ethereum in the next bull run, I mean, you could see tens of billions of dollars of Ethereum getting burned every single month. And everybody equates NFTs to JPEGs or to pictures or to the image format. But I do think that the next bull run, you're going to see the emergence of NFTs in the form of both music, also with assets tied to the metaverse and gaming. I do think you're also going to see NFTs in the form of ticketing, and then also just the tokenization of documents that are fundamental to people in society. So you're going to have maybe your home deed, car titles, also identification. And so you're going to see so many more NFTs alone. Not even talking about DeFi yet. Yeah, I mean, just NFTs alone, you're going to have so much more because Ethereum's king of NFTs. Nobody disputes that. And so if you're burning 3,000 Ethereum a month with the NFTs that are being used right now, man, think about what sports betting, what all those other instances I gave you, plus the emergence of DeFi and for what it is going to shape up to be. Remember, DeFi only came around last cycle. Nobody knew what Uniswap, nobody was doing decentralized finance. Uniswap didn't come into the fray till 2020. And so what is DeFi going to look like moving forward? Also, institutions are getting into DeFi as well, the banking sector. And then you also have, lastly, the CBDCs, which are going to be an integral part of the Ethereum network as well, all contributing to transactions, all contributing to deflation, to the deflationary nature of Ethereum.
Yeah, I would absolutely have to agree. Obviously, we are in a bear market. So, when that bull market comes and things absolutely ramp up, things will be much, much different. I would totally agree. And again, NFTs, I think in the next cycle, really taking their true form, beyond the, fluffy, puffy penguin friends, all these, crazy projects that come out seemingly every other day. I think, this is what I'm excited for NFTs, this next cycle to really bring it in like deeds to your house, all the examples that you gave. This is really what I'm excited about with NFTs. So, now moving over to Forrest. Now ETH against BTC is currently sitting just below about 0.07 BTC. Last bear market, it was at about 0.02. Now, do you anticipate ETH to continue to gain on BTC?
100%, absolutely. I think nothing's a sure thing in this market, but I believe in the next 2 years, Ethereum will flip Bitcoin and then some fairly easily. I know a lot of people that are Bitcoin fans aren't going to like that, but Bitcoin's actually the case study for this. If you look at the net issuance reduction from Ethereum's merge, it is actually, in comparison to its market cap, it is actually most similar to the Bitcoin 2016 halving. And the Bitcoin 2016 halving in the short term was actually a buy the news, sell the, or buy the rumor, sell the news event. After the halving, from its pre-halving, pre-2016 halving peak, Bitcoin actually fell 40% at a 40% correction, and it took 100 to 180 days to recover that 40% correction. It's actually 180 days. It's been like 24 days or so since the Ethereum merge. And how much of a pullback have we seen in Ethereum from that 1700 peak, or 17 or 1800 peak before the Ethereum merge? About 40%. We've seen a 40% correction. So it's actually right now mirroring what Bitcoin did in 2016. This reduction, this deflation that we're seeing in Ethereum supply right now is from a Ponzi meme coin, not a meme coin, but basically a Ponzi coin, XEN. That is, it's a pretty solid Ponzi. It'll probably see some crazy runs or whatever, but it's just one single Ponzi token in the midst of a bear market. And it's doing this to Ethereum's deflation. What happens when demand actually comes in? When demand actually comes in, and when additional additional demand on the actual network and fee burns come in, it's going to be insane. I think Ethereum is the slam dunk DCA in with extra cash for anybody who has enough cash to get through a nasty recession. ETH is what I believe will come out the other side smelling the best.
Absolutely. And yeah, the Ethereum Bitcoin flippening, I do think that will eventually happen down the road. The question is when, but I definitely agree with you. And again, once all of the, everybody jumps back into crypto again, we're in a bear market right now. So things could, just start to get exciting at that point. But Brad, I want to throw it over to you. Now, the next upgrade due out for ETH is the Shanghai update that will finally allow staked ETH to be withdrawn. Now, with 2023 right around the corner, do you think this will cause a massive sell-off?
I don't think that if you you could just replay Robin and Forrest, and I don't even have to talk because I mirror what they say almost 100%. I don't think anybody watching this show that's educating themselves is going to be in a hurry to sell their Ethereum anytime soon. I was going to say, hit that like button before I say what I have to say, because I'm like Forrest. Bitcoin maxis aren't going to like me right now, because if I had to choose one token to buy, I'm gonna be buying multiple tokens. But if I had to absolutely buy one token over the next couple of years, it would be Ethereum. It may or may not get the most X's out of all the tokens out there, but it's going to get some amazing multiples, and it's one of the most surest things in the market, in my opinion. Not financial advice, but you cannot go wrong. The thing I love about Bitcoin, it is a store of value, but if you go out there and start asking the average person how much gold and silver they're holding, a lot of times it's not a lot. So most people understand that holding some gold and silver is a good hedge against inflation, but not very many people are doing it. But when you take a token like Ethereum that actually has real solid use case that is going to change the way that we do gaming, the way that it's going to be, the number one player in the NFT and the metaverse for a while to come. All of the utilities, folks like things that they can see, touch, feel, and use. And Ethereum gives that to everybody, where Bitcoin is more of just kind of a store of value. So in my opinion, I don't think that this Shanghai upgrade is going to dump the price at all.
Gotcha. All right. Well, we'll have to wait and see. But just to keep up with time here, I want to hop over to Max real quick. Now, even at this low usage, close to about $500,000 worth of ETH has been burned. Now, how big of an impact could you see this metric actually having on the next bull, or in the next bull run?
Yeah, like the other guys said, it's going to be huge. I don't want to repeat that thing, but that is what's going to happen. If there's this much being burned at this low usage, it can only go up during the next bull run. And if one of the best things about crypto is how much it teaches all of its users about the basics of economics. And if you have the supply come down by that much, then you're going to go. You're going to get the result of a higher price. It's just by definition. That's in the long term. But there's always lots of volatility in between now and then. Quick question for you, if I may. When is this upgrade coming where the Ethereum gets released? Do we have a time frame?
I don't. There's no exact date. I believe there
in
is
the next 6 months.
There we go. I was going to say
until it gets pushed back.
Okay, I would just add this: if it is late in this year, you might get a big time short term dump because people cashing in losses, banking their losses for their tax year. So that's something that could happen. But if it's going to happen in the middle of next year, then it's less relevant.
Absolutely. Now, moving along, we are running out of time here. I want to move over to our last topic, and that is PayPal's discrete new privacy policy. There's a little bit of confusion. It's still unclear, but PayPal faced a massive amount of pushback from customers over the weekend in response to a fine print new company policy. The policy was set to fine users accused of spreading misinformation by PayPal standards, a $2,500 fee for anybody or any one of the 429 million users and merchants. So pretty interesting stuff here, especially when we're talking about, decentralization. If PayPal doesn't like what you're saying, they don't agree with what you say, they can just automatically, take $2,500 out of your account, which is quite horrifying, when you start thinking about decentralization, and kind of just shows the importance of, things like blockchain technology that can help, keep centralization or give people at least a decentralized option for things. Because in my personal opinion, this is absolutely crazy. But Sin City, with that being said, I do want to. What'd you say?
Oh, PayPal just took $2,500 out of your account for that one.
Misinformation. But Sin City, I do want to throw it over to you. Now, what do you make of PayPal's responses claiming that this was just an error, right? Because they did come out and say like, oh, no, it was just a mistake. We didn't really want this to happen. But was the company trying to backtrack, only because the fine print policy was discovered and made public so quickly? Or do you think it was an honest mistake?
And it sounds like me in my adolescent days when I accidentally sent a really ugly text to my girlfriend, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I didn't mean it that way. That wasn't what I meant to say. It was a typo. Auto.
It was Siri.
They're backtracking. Like, come on, just own it. Just say like, hey, you know what? We try to implement a policy. We completely got that one wrong. Like, my bad. We're gonna reassess. Like, who are you kidding? If you're gonna take the time to put something in the terms of service, lawyers are the ones that put that in there. It's not like it's the intern that's typing up the terms of service. Like, let's be real. So there's that. And then on top of it, you got things like delete PayPal that's trending right now on Twitter as well. Even Elon Musk, the founder of PayPal, has been openly discussing his disgust with that as well. And so I think you're seeing this this rise against private payment services. So not only are you getting pushback when it comes to the federal government and the SWIFT network and some of the legacy finance and even sanctions, but you're now starting to see accountability when it comes from the people against private companies. And all it does is just points to the gold standard, which is now not gold, but the blockchain, and how it can make things transparent, easy, cheap, and it's immutable, or at least most of them are. So that's what I'm excited about. It just shows me that we're in the right space, and that there is alternatives to private companies that can all of a sudden put in the fine print, hey, you owe us $2,500. So it's comical to me.
Yeah, I was definitely laughing when I read this one, and again, just points out to the importance of having decentralized options. Now, Forrest, I want to throw it to you. Now, do you see PayPal as a possible future ally of crypto, or will an event like this just drive the company in the opposite direction of decentralized finance completely?
I don't think they survive unless they try to adopt crypto in some way, crypto blockchain based payments. Honestly, unfortunately, I mean, there'll probably be some sort of, maybe they'll lean more towards CBDCs, I think CBDCs are inevitable, unfortunately, like it or not. I mean, at this point, every central bank and every country's talking about them or already implementing plans for them. Kind of, on the topic of that, seems to be why Quant may be running a little bit recently. Quant's been performing really well on the back of that CBDC narrative. But what's interesting to me about this PayPal thing and what's reassuring about it, but also simultaneously very scary, is that the people can boycott PayPal because they have the other options. But what happens when there's a CBDC that tries to do the same thing, fine you for misinformation, but they've also tried to regulate crypto into the ground, and crypto is also very difficult to access. Now, obviously, we know that they can regulate Bitcoin, but they can't stop Bitcoin, right? They can regulate crypto, but they can't necessarily stop it. But that's why I think it's so important to set a really strong, positive regulatory framework for crypto, right? We don't want to see negative regulation regulating crypto out of the space, but we want to see friendly regulation for crypto, establishing it as that alternative. So if a CBDC ever tries to do something similar in the future, people can just say, okay, we're not going to use CBDC coin anymore. We're going to use Bitcoin. We're going to use Ethereum, whatever other form of crypto payment that you can use. But if that option is not there, that's where it gets really scary.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said before, it's about having the option, right? Because obviously, centralized things like this, they do have their benefits of, they can protect their customer, but they can also steal $2,500 out of their account if they don't like what they say. So yeah, I want to throw it over to Brad. Now, Brad, will we see PayPal to continue rolling stuff out like this along with other companies? Or do you think if they get enough backlash, other companies and PayPal will see this and be like, okay, maybe we shouldn't mess with this anymore. And, you could say whatever you want. We won't take your money.
Well, hopefully after watching what happened with PayPal, some of these other companies will smarten up. I've never been a fan of PayPal. I don't have any money with them, so they can go ahead and try to take $2,500 from me. It's been one of my least favorite payment processors ever. Even when they entered the cryptocurrency space in the beginning, they didn't allow us to transfer the crypto into our own private wallets. So any type of a centralized financial institution like that's holding our crypto hostage, I never liked. And so I just hopefully this helps just the world public become more aware of why blockchain technology is so amazing and why decentralization gives us the opportunity to protect our wealth in this age where it feels like more and more of the elite and the people in power want to control us, and they want to control our wealth. And let's face it, the easiest way to control the people is to control the money. And so I definitely hope that they get a lot of backlash, and it creates a lot of awareness, and it scares some people away from those types of platforms and into some good decentralized crypto platforms.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Now, Max, I do just want to throw it over to you. Last but not least, now, should large corporations be able to dictate what can and can't be said? Or do you think this is just kind of like theft with, just like a couple extra steps involved?
Yeah, no, of course, no one should be able to dictate what other people said, but this is a very, very sad commentary on what's happening in society. Most recently, you've got it with Andrew Tate, who's just been doing obviously a phenomenal job helping people out. Couple comments someone doesn't like, and they're like, "Oh, well, I'll just eradicate you from the internet." This is absolutely insane. And I mean, this kind of mentality is what brings in. This is what brought in the Dark Ages. New ideas are always a threat to incumbent powers. Therefore, if you allow incumbent powers to punish people for creating new ideas, good or bad, and they're the arbiters of whether or not they're good or bad, every single time, without exception, what they do is they stifle inflation. This brought about the Dark Ages. Society stood still for nearly a millennia because people it was allowed that the incumbents were allowed to decide what could be said and what could not be said. Scientists had to keep it a secret that the world was round because the church had killed them. This is the insanity of what happens when you allow censorship. Free speech is absolute paramount. Voltaire said, "I may despise everything you say, but I will defend with my life your right to say it." And he's building off that principle that society stands completely still. The cost of censoring speech is so great that it could not possibly be less than the cost of hearing bad speech. And so that's why this whole trend has to stop immediately.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I bring this up sometimes too. I know people laugh when you bring it up, but Andrew Tate is a perfect example of this where, you say one thing you don't like, they freeze his bank accounts, all this stuff. So absolutely insane to see this stuff. But with that being said, guys, it looks like Sin City is our winner.
Rigged.
There he is. BJ says it's rigged. I say Sin City did an awesome job. Take it away, Sin. Let us know. Let the people know what they need to hear.
All right. So I want to give a big shout out to our community. We see you guys in the chat, by the way, but our community's been thriving. They're super outspoken and vocal. I absolutely love them. Also, big shout out to the panel here. Max Wright for always disagreeing with everything. Brad Varnell for having great internet speed. And also shout out and big shout out to Forrest, who does a Monday special for us. And then, last, I can't forget, BJ and his cosplay outfits. Those are great. And Frankie Candles, we love you. And we're going to tune into your show here after this. So
Appreciate you. Guys, don't forget to head down to the description down below and click the links and go give these guys a subscribe. Give them a follow. Smash the like button for them. All the links are down there. And don't forget, at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, in just a few minutes, Frankie Candles will be live. You just got to give me a little time to run over back to the studio. But guys, with all that being said, that's all the time we got for tonight. I'll see you guys next time. Frankie Candles out.
Awesome.